I think it's best if you look up when you sneeze. You need to be careful where you aim. Hey, nice to see you again. This is Sean. I am Sean. And this is scene 55. And basically in this episode, I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about my history. I was born in the Philippines. My dad was in the Navy. We came to the US when I was only 3 years old, and I've been here ever since. We've moved around quite a bit, being that my dad was in the Navy. So in high school, I had my first opportunity with acting. I actually went to support a friend who wanted to try out for a school play. And I went to support her, and then she convinced me to audition. Ironically, she didn't make it, I did. And that was the beginning of the acting bug. I had kind of a small part. The play was Out of the Frying Pan, and I played a cop. And I did that film. I was in another film shortly after, which the name is escaping me at the moment. But I did another play after that. I was an extra in a film also while I was in high school. It was called The Invisible Kid, and I was in two different scenes. One was a school dance, and the other was a school basketball game. And I didn't make it on camera. I'm in the crowd, but didn't make it on camera. And I was also an extra after I moved to Northern California, in Alameda, California. I was an extra in a film called The Spirit of 76. And that was starring David Cassidy and Olivia Diabo from Wonder Years, I think. And yeah, it was kind of funny how that happened. I saw them filming across the street from the church where I went. I was walking home from someplace, and there was a film crew, and I walked under the yellow tape and right up to one of the trailers and asked them what was going on. They said they were filming a movie. I said, "Oh, cool. You need any extras?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." So he handed me a form. I filled it out. Had to have my parents sign it because at the time I think I was only about 14. Yeah, I think I was like 14, 15, something like that. And filled it out and ended up getting on camera. The scene that I was in was a school science fair, and I was in the I was one of the contestants setting up my science project as one of the characters walked past me. Anyways, I also did community theater in the Bay Area at the Hayward Little Theater, and that was a fun experience. And you know what? It's what I love to do. You know, I tried for many years to get into acting. I got scammed a couple of times, and it was disappointing and discouraging. And I kept trying. I eventually did a film with a good friend of mine. He asked me to play a henchman in his movie Hard Edge, and it was a shot-on-video action film, and it was fun. It was really fun. I think we shot it in just a couple of weeks, and at the time it was not very long, maybe about 40 minutes long, something like that. And then a few years later, he decided he wanted to rehash it, and he started adding some stuff in. We reshot some new scenes to basically build on the story a little bit more, and that was fun too. It was like maybe 4 or 5 years later, and now we're actually working on it 30 years later, trying to rehash it. And I'm actually using AI to bridge some gaps in some scenes. And he's reshooting some scenes. But the passion and the idea is still there. So that's what counts. I got married 1993. Was married until 2018, something like that. And we got divorced, and I decided to move out to Southern California. At the time, my family's out here, my brother, my mom. And my mom passed away in 2022. And my father in Missouri, because they were divorced now, my father was in Missouri and he passed away 6 months later. And I started getting that itch again, thinking to myself, life is too short. I needed to do something. And Rick and I started reworking on this project again and doing stuff. He had me do a few voiceovers to kind of add to certain scenes. And then he shot some scenes out there in Virginia. And the city that the movie takes place in is a fictional city. So it really doesn't matter as long as it's all urban. It's kind of what counts. So here I am in Southern California. My current job, I work at an RV rental place, and I've been there for 5 years. I work in the parts warehouse, and I do like the job. But obviously it's not what I feel like I'm meant to do. But it's what pays the bills right now. I do other things to help pay the bills. So what you're gonna see on this channel is how I'm cutting costs, how I'm saving money, what I do, a little bit of me going out maybe, I don't know. The whole idea is I'm gonna eventually start minimizing my belongings, getting rid of a lot of stuff, maybe selling a lot of stuff. I have 30 years of belongings from my ex-wife and I being together that I just kind of packed up and left. And some of it was in a storage, which I eventually moved out of the storage and then moved it into my apartment. And my brother was nice enough to let me store some things in his garage. So I want to minimize that, partly because, you know, I want my brother to have more room in his garage. And most of the stuff is things I don't need anymore. It doesn't serve a purpose anymore. So eventually I want to get rid of it. And, you know, just when I eventually make the move, I don't want to be hauling a bunch of stuff that doesn't serve me any purpose. One of the ideas I thought about was, if I ever get to that point, because I work for a motorhome rental company, we do sell the rentals eventually. And we sell them used. And so my idea is, as long as I'm still working there, I can buy one and get an employee discount and use it to travel across the country. And a lot of the footage in this vlog and eventually the drive across the country will end up in a documentary about us making the film Hard Edge. And so that's one idea. The other thing is, I just want to document this because I live alone. It's a little bit therapeutic to have someone to talk to, which is you guys. And it's also beneficial to other people who are starting again at 55 or 50 or 45, whatever, even 60. Life doesn't end when you hit that age. It begins. You realize, you know what? This isn't me. You got to do something. And for some people, you know, it might have, their life might have changed after, you know, a death of a spouse or a divorce or, you know, something. And that's when they really start thinking. And then I've been out here in Southern California now about 6 years or so, I think. 6, 7 years. And I knew something needed to be done. I knew this wasn't what I wanted, but I wasn't sure yet what it was. And it was in working with my friend Rick to get this film project done that I started thinking about it. You know, what if I move out to Virginia? I've never been there before. It's scary. And, but I imagine moving out there, he and I working on projects together. He's a big horror movie fanatic. I am too. We like different kinds of horror movies. But I also absolutely love sci-fi and a bunch of other stuff. And I think the chemistry between me and Rig with our different styles helps. And the fact that I'm heavily into technology, that helps a lot too, because we can figure out inexpensive ways to add to our films, such as AI. I'm not one of these people that's afraid of AI taking over. AI, I'd imagine, isn't going to take over. I look at it as a tool. Yeah, some people will look at it as cheating, but they said that about the synthesizer years ago, back in the 70s, when musicians started using synthesizers instead of a full orchestra. Like, that's cheating, that's fake. And now everybody's using synthesizers. Electric drums, film changed a lot of things. You know, every time there's change, there's major chaos in that industry. So I think it's people that embrace the change that keep moving. One thing I heard years ago is that in a storm, it's always the strong, rigid oak trees that fall, but it's the flexible willow trees and palm trees that flex and move with the wind that stay upright after the storm is over. So that's what you have to do as a person. You have to be flexible, bend to the times. You're not changing who you are. You're just basically allowing yourself to go with the flow. And I think we all have to do that. You know, at 55, I can't work like a 20-year-old. I can't do 2 jobs and film movies. I'm way too exhausted for that. I want to do what I can, but I also don't want to lie to myself and overwork myself. So anyway, enough. I've been rambling enough. I'm doing my morning walk, and you guys are joining me, so I'm a little bit out of breath. But thank you for watching, and I'm going to return and do a little bit of laundry and relax for the rest of the day, and go back to my daily grind for the week. And hopefully you guys will stay with me on this journey and see if I make it or not. Don't know yet, but we'll see.